In a village in the north of England, grown men have gathered every August since the year 1800 to weigh a single berry on antique apothecary scales, sometimes steadying the swinging pan with a feather. The current world record berry is bigger than a golf ball, and the plant they grow it on is a small, thorny, unfashionable bush that most people have completely written off. That's the strange thing about bushes. We picture serious fruit growing as an orchard, tall trees, ladders, years of waiting. But a bush the size of an armchair can outproduce a tree twice your height in a fraction of the space, coming back on its own every year for decades. For most of history, these were the plants that actually fed households. The big orchards were the luxury. This is the second time we've gone looking for them, and there was no shortage. Here are 7 more tiny bushes that quietly beat the trees, and we'll start with the one from that village scale. The gooseberry. 200 years ago, in industrial northern England, mill workers and miners with tiny backyards became obsessed with growing the biggest gooseberry on earth. They formed gooseberry clubs, guarded secret techniques, and competed for glory at village shows. The Egton Bridge Old Gooseberry Show has run every year since 1800, surviving 2 world wars, and it still crowns a champion whose berry is weighed on antique scales to the fraction of a gram. That obsession tells you something. The gooseberry is one of the most productive, reliable fruit bushes a person can grow. A single healthy bush hands you 8 to 10 pounds of fruit a year, and it does it in cool, damp, difficult conditions where more glamorous fruit simply fails. It tolerates shade. It shrugs off hard frost. It lives and produces for 15 to 20 years off a single planting. And here's the part the supermarket erased. A gooseberry picked early is sharp and green and perfect for cooking. Left on the bush to fully ripen, it turns soft, sweet, and almost like a dessert grape, a flavor most people have never tasted because ripe gooseberries are far too soft to ship. The thorns are the only real downside, and even those have an upside. They make the bush a superb, impenetrable security hedge that happens to feed you. The next bush is a plant that literally did not exist until a laboratory built it. The jostaberry. Most fruit is thousands of years old. The jostaberry is not. It was deliberately engineered by German plant breeders across the first half of the 20th century, a genetic cross between a blackcurrant and a gooseberry, finally released to the public in the 1970s. The name is German, stitched together from their words for the 2 parent plants. And it inherited the best of both while dodging their weaknesses. From the gooseberry, it took size and vigor. From the blackcurrant, it took flavor and cold hardiness. But it left the gooseberry's vicious thorns behind, and it left behind the diseases that plague both parents because the cross made it remarkably resistant to the mildews and pests that trouble currants. What you're left with is a thornless, disease-resistant monster of a bush that can grow 6 feet across and produce 10 to 12 pounds of fruit that tastes like a blackcurrant crossed with a kiwi. It's almost unkillable, needs no spraying, and practically nobody has heard of it, because it was invented too recently to have a folklore and it doesn't ship well enough to sell. A designed fruit, hiding in plain sight. The next one is the exact opposite. It's older than agriculture, and it feeds you before anything else in the year has even woken up. The honeyberry. Across Siberia and the northern island of Japan, the indigenous Ainu people foraged a strange, long blue berry from a low honeysuckle bush for centuries, and they called it a symbol of long life and good eyesight. The name most growers use today, haskap, comes straight from their language, translating roughly to presence on the ends of branches. Here's why it matters in a modern garden, and the numbers are genuinely startling. The honeyberry is one of the toughest fruit plants on the planet. The bush survives temperatures down to -40 and in some cases -55, and its flowers can shrug off a hard spring frost that would wipe out any other fruit. But its real magic is timing. It is the earliest fruit of the entire year, ripening roughly 2 weeks before strawberries, at the very start of the season when nothing else is ready. A mature bush produces 7 to 12 pounds of berries that taste like a blueberry crossed with raspberry. It fruits by year, 2 or 3, and it keeps producing for over 30 years. One honest note, you need 2 different varieties nearby for them to pollinate. The next bush was a survival food across 2 continents, and it hides a second harvest almost nobody knows about. The Nanking cherry. This is a bush that thinks it's a tree. The Nanking cherry comes from the cold, harsh expanses of northern China, Mongolia, and the Himalayas, and for centuries it was a survival crop and a windbreak across some of the most brutal growing conditions on Earth. It handles cold down to -40 and near-desert drought with equal indifference. And it is astonishingly generous. In spring, it erupts into a cloud of pink and white blossom so dense the branches disappear. And by early summer, those flowers become masses of bright red cherries packed along every stem. A mature Nanking cherry can hand you 30 to 40 pounds of sweet tart fruit, more like a productive small tree than a bush. Yet it stays a manageable 6 to 8 feet and can be grown as a hedge. It's usually self-sterile, so you plant 2, and then they fruit heavily with almost no care at all. The fruit is too soft and delicate to sell in any shop, which is precisely why you'll only ever taste one if you grow it. The next bush produces a fruit so valuable that during the Second World War, a government told its citizens to go and pick it by hand from the wild. The rosehip. The rose is the most planted ornamental shrub in the world, grown by the millions purely for its flowers, and almost everyone throws away its actual fruit. After the petals drop, a rose forms a red seed pod called a hip, and that hip is one of the most vitamin C-rich foods that will grow in a cold climate, carrying many times the vitamin C of an orange by weight. During the Second World War, when German blockades cut Britain off from imported citrus, the government organized a national campaign, sending volunteers and schoolchildren out into the hedgerows to gather wild rosehips by the ton. They were turned into a syrup and handed out to keep the nation's children healthy through the rationing years. A wild hedge fed a country its vitamin C. And here's the quiet joke of it. Vigorous shrub roses, and especially the tough wild rugosa rose, produce enormous crops of large hips while asking for nothing, growing in poor sandy soil, salt wind, and neglect that would kill a fussier plant. Millions of people already grow the bush. Almost none of them harvest the fruit. The next one might be the single most productive plant on this entire list, and it comes with a warning: the autumn olive. This bush is a genuine paradox, so let's be honest about both sides. On one hand, the autumn olive is so vigorous and spreads so freely from seed that it's considered invasive across much of North America, and in some places you should not plant it at all. On the other hand, it is a staggering food producer, and understanding why is worth your time. A single mature autumn olive can produce 30 pounds or more of small red berries speckled with silver, and those berries contain up to 15 times the lycopene of a raw tomato, the antioxidant usually associated with tomatoes and watermelon. The bush also fixes nitrogen straight out of the air, meaning it actually enriches poor, dead, exhausted soil while it fruits, growing lushly in the kind of wrecked ground where nothing else will establish. It was originally planted deliberately across America for exactly that soil-building ability before anyone realized how aggressively it would spread. So this is the one to research carefully for your specific area, and where it's already growing wild, it's a free, massive harvest most people walk straight past. The last bush is a native survivor that fed this continent for thousands of years and then got branded a nuisance: the American elder. The elder is a large, fast-growing native shrub that has fed and doctored people across Europe and North America for thousands of years. So deeply woven into folklore that it was considered a protective, almost magical plant. Every part of the harvest was used: the flat white flower heads in early summer, and then the heavy drooping clusters of dark purple berries in autumn. The practical case is strong. A mature elder produces 12 to 15 pounds of berries a year, and it does it in wet, boggy, difficult ground that would drown most fruit, which makes it perfect for the soggy corner of a garden where nothing else thrives. It establishes fast and can fruit in its second year. The berries, which sell as immune-boosting syrup for serious money in health shops, are loaded with antioxidants. Two genuine cautions, though. Elderberries must be cooked before eating, never raw, and the leaves and stems are not edible at all. Grow 2 varieties for a better crop, and net it because the birds know exactly how good it is. So line these 7 up against the orchard we're told is the only serious way to grow fruit. A gooseberry that Victorian factory workers competed over. A berry built in a laboratory. A honeysuckle that feeds you before spring has even arrived. A cherry bush from the Himalayas. A rose that kept a nation healthy through a war. The most productive plant on the list, if you dare. And a native shrub that thrives where everything else drowns. Not one of them needs a ladder. Not one needs an orchard. Most of them produce a fruit you physically cannot buy in any shop, at any price. Because the whole reason they slipped out of our gardens is the same reason every time. They don't survive a truck, so no supermarket sells the fruit, and no garden center makes much money pushing the plant. The productivity was never in the size of the tree. It was hiding in the bushes the whole time. So tell me, which of these are you most tempted to plant? The record-breaking gooseberry, the lab-made jostaberry, the honeyberry that beats the strawberries to spring? And if you already grow one of these bushes, tell me your real yield and your winter low. Drop it in the comments.